They're just simple images that have been passed down, in tattoo history for centuries. And you don't necessarily have to have the deepest meaning in the world. If you like something enough to get it on your body, then it's just as good as something that is so symbolic. I am known as Dr. Wu. My real name is Brian. I grew up in Southern California, and I've been tattooing for over the last decade and a half, and also working on a lot of creative projects, fashion, music, art collaborations, and now I'm starting my own businesses and exploring creative entrepreneurship. We were reached out to by Haku. We made an amazing little piece. I like the message that we were able to conceive and still keep it in a vein of expressing our creativity and showing everyone who we are. Firstborn generation here. My parents immigrated here, and at home we have our set of ways with my parents, and then at school and after school and all that, it was a whole different life. My late teens was just like full explosion of just constantly getting tattooed. The whole time I was getting tattooed by Mark Mahoney, who's the legendary tattoo artist. And he asked me if I wanted to apprentice for him. So I dropped everything I was doing and couldn't believe the opportunity that I had, to the dismay of my parents, and jumped head in, and the rest is history, I guess. See, I did a full-on classic apprenticeship where I didn't touch a tattoo machine for like 2.5, 3 years. There's always still stuff to learn. And I'm seeing these kids that I'm like, man, how long they've been tattooing? And someone was like 4 months. I'm just like, oh my God. Everything just perpetually gets faster and faster. And I think with tattooing, it's the same thing. It used to be like a secret thing, and you kind of got taught, passed down lineage-wise, but it's fully exploded now. Now it's open for all, and when you look at the work that's coming out, how can you say you don't get to tattoo? Pretty intimidating, actually. When I think about it, the way I got into tattooing here is born from this cultural difference that I was living during the West, and I grew up with a lot of American culture, a lot of American friends, and the lifestyle. So it was almost, in a way, easier for me to learn and kind of be around this stuff. But I always think about all these artists, like you said, coming from Asia, where culturally it's different. Tattoo scene in Korea, South Korea, it's exploded. I mean, it was illegal there for a long time. I think it's still somewhat technically illegal, with the mixture of social media and access to seeing tattoo techniques and tattoos all over the world. You can see now there's so many amazing tattoo artists. I tattooed someone yesterday from Taiwan, and he had amazing work. I think maybe with parents it's still a little, taboo, but on the flip side, there's no holding back the force of talent that's coming, from all these countries. For me, the old school in me still wants to keep it real, and the new school in me has to kind of accept the changes because I'm part of it. Before even the tattooing, I was very interested in fashion and art. I try to show that, obviously if you're good at one thing, that's amazing, but you don't have to be pigeonholed into that one thing. You can be great at anything. It's been cool for me to do that, dabble in the fashion world, do some cool collaborations. And now I'm really focusing on the business side, because to me, that's an art as well. I had really sensitive skin growing up all the time. So the skincare was actually born out of that necessity, where I had this idea that there's just this go-to lotion for everything. The angle of it also is that it, rejuvenates old tattoos and it keeps your skin hydrated. It's fun. It's like a new venture. I was a wild kid growing up. It's fun to see how my interests have changed and what actually excites me now. And so it's been good. It's a good challenge. My path and what I do, I just kind of try to be as honest as possible and, work hard and just kind of keep my head down and do my thing. So I never really thought of myself as a role model for other Asian tattoo artists. I think it's not until, I became a father and had kids and started really opening my eyes a bit and seeing how we are perceived. And it feels nice that when sometimes kids will reach out and say, hey, I never knew I could do this. And you're an example, that I can tell my parents, hey, this guy did it. And not necessarily tattooing. It's just being a creative in general. I'm happy to be an example and encourage them to show them that it's possible. if you're coming in and getting tattooed, you know what I do and you know what to expect. I still really do love just classic tattoo imagery and motifs. So I still try to incorporate those. I just do it in my style and in my execution. They're just simple images that have been passed down, you know, in tattoo history for centuries, and they still are relevant, and they don't necessarily have to have the deepest meaning in the world. If you like something enough to get it on your body, then it's just as good as something that is so symbolic, you know. I have a portrait of my grandfather that my mentor Mark Mahoney did. That's my favorite. I still love so much. I mean, it's probably hard to see, but people say it looks like me.